Quick announcement before we jump into the episode. June is Men's Health Month, and I am a huge fan, being in the space that I'm at and some of the things that I've gone through. I'm a big fan of intentionally working on your mental health and your mental toughness. It's what I'm all about, and I think that, gentlemen, dads, I'm talking to you guys. We need to be a little bit more intentional about this. I think that it helps us out. It helps our families out, helps our kids out, helps our relationships. It's something you need to be working on and being very intentional about. And so I'm putting out something I call Mettle Mondays for Men. It's a group coaching session. I'm limiting the spots to just 9 guys, so there'll be 10 of us, including me, on there. It's going to be on Monday mornings starting June 30th. And when I say Monday mornings, it's 6 a.m. And that's on purpose because not everybody, but most people could find a way to make 6 a.m. work. So it is a very intentional time with a very intentional idea on creating that mental strength. It is not a recognition that you're a mentally weak dad. It is the idea that just like we want to build up our physical strength, we go to the gym or we run and we get our physical health. I think that you need to be very intentional about your mental health. And that's exactly what this is about. It's group sessions, like I said, 5 Mondays in a row. We're going to talk about things about using your values for positive growth with your families, focusing every day on what you can control, owning up on your voice, your internal and your external voice, curing some relationship cancers, things that harm relationships with your spouse, your family, things like that. And then just how we set goals and what are some of the hurdles we have there. It's going to be some really good stuff. I'm really excited about this. There's going to be a link in the show notes. Just go ahead and sign up. You won't be disappointed. I'm really excited about it. Mettle Mondays for Men. I hope to see you there. But for now, let's jump into today's podcast.
We have to, as coaches, just continue to be their biggest supporters. And when we are able to identify that they're struggling, or, we need to know what do we do? How do we coach them? Do I need to take her out and have a conversation with her and put her right back in? Do I need to let her play through it? Do I need to tell her teammate, hey, you need to go, do this? So I think it's knowing your kids, but the positive part of it.
This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission, help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle. All right, metalheads, it's Coach Toman here on the Mental Mettle Podcast. It is June, and it just a great month for basketball. Lots going on. I've got all month doing different coaches, basketball coaches I'm working with, talking to on the podcast, just on their past seasons, what they got coming up, because June is that month where we really, it's just such a hopeful month for basketball. It's like, your seniors are gone from last year, and it's new people coming in, and just, hope springs eternal, that whole thing. And it's just, it's a fun time. I'm doing a lot of traveling right now, working with different teams, doing some of my team coaching. It's so much fun to get in with a team right at the beginning and just starting to work on some of their values, some of their focus, what they want their season to look like, and how they're going to make that happen. And I think it's just a great time to be in and working with all these athletes, these coaches, these teams. It's good stuff. I got other stuff going on in June, just pretty busy doing stuff. If you remember, if you listen, paying attention to the podcast, I do the monthly Mettle Challenge. This month is all about me practicing yoga. That's going once a day. Do that with my wife. It's not much. It's right now we're just 10 minutes, but it's so much better than I was. And I really stink at it. Last night, my son Lane was with us, and he does some yoga. And I think, I don't know. Like, I guess it's just watching your dad do yoga, and I'm telling you, I'm really bad at it. So he spent the time laughing at me for about 10 minutes while he was trying to do it. And it's hard to do yoga while you're laughing, but I didn't give him a hard time. I'm trying to get over that I'm really bad at it, but that's okay. So a lot going on in June. It's a busy time, but it's like I said, it's a fun time. Lots going on. I had Matt Lauer on the podcast at Pinckneyville. If you didn't catch that one, that was a great episode. And I got more basketball coaches coming up the rest of the month. But for now, let's get into the episode. I've got Kim Barth of Washington Community. I think she got 36 wins this year and third in state. So with the girls team there in Washington, really, really good team. They were fun to watch. Caught them a couple times this year. They were ranked number 1, I think, from day one. So that's a lot of pressure, a lot to deal with, and to play, get third, and not quite live up to the first, number 1 spot, but to actually make it that far, to get into state and have some good games there. It's a lot of pressure, and she talks about that. It's a great episode. So hang around. Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport, and they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Mettle Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set. And welcome back to the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman, and I'm here with my guest today, the head girls coach at Washington High School, fresh off a third in state run, and is it a 36-2 record?
Yep, 36-2, and it doesn't seem real still.
Yeah. So
it was
Coach Kim Barth. Yeah, Coach Kim Barth, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. And so I mean, it's not every year you get 36 wins.
No, that's a school record. I think we beat our record from a few years before, which was 31, which we made it to a sectional championship that year. So we set a lot of school records this year. But that one is something that, you never go into a season thinking you're going to be undefeated or you're going to win 36 games. It was just game after game. And it's just a credit to our kids. They're incredible. I mean, absolutely incredible.
Well, so you did leave a little space there.
Yeah, we got a little wiggle room if we need it.
Yeah, you got a little. You upped the school record by 5, which is not easy to do. But then there's always somebody can be like, hey, maybe we could get 38.
Oh goodness. I'm trying to take this season in, keep the pressure off a little bit. Cause I'll tell you what, when you're number 1 the entire year, they could say there was pressure. I didn't want the kids to feel that pressure. I can say now, I think that, I felt that pressure all year. But I always say pressure is a privilege. Pressure makes diamonds. And it was great. It was awesome, but it's still crazy to think we won 36 games, but those 38 coaches, no, I don't see that. That's not talking about that.
Coaches love little sayings like that. Like pressure is a privilege, but it's like for when you're a high school girl taking a free throw, I'm not sure that always resonates.
Oh no, especially when it's, the game on the line and, things along those lines. But, we have kids step up and make huge free throws. So, I mean, I say that stuff all the time. And I remember when I was a kid and I'm like, my coach is crazy. Like pressure is crazy. I don't want that. So
it's interesting you say that because it's one of the things that I always try to work with is like working with coaches and trying to say, okay, I know that you have all these idioms and these sayings that you say, but remember what you were like when you were playing. Like that didn't mean anything to you. Like it's like how do you help them do that? That's the interesting thing.
So I actually had a group of kids early in my career made a t-shirt and it had everything I say all the time on it. I still have it. So it was before I was married, and it was Coach H isms. And it was like 20 statements that I say all the time. And it makes me laugh to read it. It's like, don't drink too much before we run, or, things like that. So I think now I look back, and I feel like as I've went through my coaching career, I've had the opportunity to grow as well. And I realized, like, early, I think I was maybe a little bit more of a yeller, where I got a little bit more worked up. And now I'm kind of at the point where I know, like, hey, like, if I'm not calm, they're not going to be calm. So I feel like I just have a better way to relate. But with that being said, some of those things I say make them laugh, make them smile in some of the
Yeah.
hardest times. So like code words that some of the kids and I have, like things like that, those relationships. I've just learned that those relationships are more important than anything with your players.
Yeah. And you're talking about now, how many years you've been coaching,
So
Coach?
that was my 9th year as the varsity coach at Washington. I've been coaching though this would be my 19th year. So I was
Okay.
a JV coach. I was a 7th grade coach. I was a freshman coach. I coached a little bit of college cross country. So then I got the opportunity here at Washington, and next year will be my 10th season here.
Okay. Now I saw in your bio, you've won the IBCA Coach of the Year a few times.
Yeah, a couple. I think so when I was a 7th grade coach at Eureka, we went to state. That was the first time. And then anytime you win a regional in the state of Illinois,
Well.
you're a coach of the year. So yeah.
Well,
So,
I'm just saying it. I think you told me it was 6 times.
yeah, I think that's
Well, I
it.
mean, well, I'm just saying, like, that's a pretty good record for getting a Coach of the Year for
It's a great honor. I credit my kids, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, I have the best kids. I have a great coaching staff. Those individual things, my players are always like, Coach, you gotta, like, that's awesome. And I was like, it is, but I don't get to do what I love if I don't have you. So
Yeah.
I just credit my kids for that 100%.
Yeah, let's back up a step. Tell me a little bit about your growing up playing basketball, and just some of what you did and what you learned growing
Yeah.
up.
So I went to a Catholic school growing up, and my dad was my coach in grade
Okay.
school, and he was really hard on me. And I credit everything, all my success to him, honestly. Like, he taught me so much. And I'll never forget, I was in 6th grade and I was playing on the 8th grade team, and I didn't like something he said to me, and I stopped my foot and I gave him a look, and I got taken out of the game, and I never went back in the game. I didn't play that game. I didn't play the next game. And we had a kind of a come to Jesus moment at that point. But I learned at an early age that is unacceptable, and that my dad was harder on me because he didn't want anyone to say he was giving me the easy street. I always think as a parent, it's important you're harder on your own kids than anybody else's, because everybody else sees that, and you don't want anyone saying anything else.
It's such a interesting dynamic.
Oh yeah.
And what's really interesting, Kim, and I'm making a mental note of this, is that we're having this conversation from you having had your dad as a coach,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh, this, and yes, and I get that. And I know you got a couple daughters now.
Yeah, I have
and
two.
they're not that age for you to coach them yet.
So 7 and 5.
Okay.
So my 5-year-old, I've coached T-ball, which is
Okay.
playing in the dirt, lose my mind. I know why I coach high school kids. My oldest, it has really shown an interest in basketball, which she's around these kids, these great athletes, they're role models. But her basketball season is during mine, so I have not coached her. I try to let her experience it by herself. Last night she came home from school and she was upset because she plays basketball every day with the boys at lunch, and they won't pass her the ball. They won't pass her the ball because she's a girl. And I said, then you got to go rebound. And she's like, but then they make shots. And I was like, well, you got to be tougher. I said, you can't let a boy or whoever ruin this for you. If you love it, you find a way, and you're playing with the boys, which is going to make you better. Well, she's 7, like she does, but I wouldn't have been in high school. I didn't realize that. So it's a circle.
It's funny. My point was, I'll talk to you in 10 years here, maybe whenever she's And
Be fair.
we'll see if your perspective changes a little bit,
Oh,
because
I'm sure it
it
will.
will.
I know I can't, like, I see, we have great parents too in our program. I always say that too. Like, they let us do our thing. They support their kids like crazy. But I mean, that line, it's going to be tough. Like, it's hard. You love your kids so hard. You want to see them be successful. But I also, my dad taught me, tough love. Like, I'm going to be hard on you, but I'm going to love you. And it's going to pay off in big ways when you grow
Yeah.
up. And there's a picture from postseason of me and my dad at our super sectional game at Sterling. And he was crying and I was crying. And I haven't seen my dad cry a lot in my life, but I'll never forget. He was like, I am so proud of you. And to hear that from your biggest role model, a person that you've looked up to your entire life, like, that's a moment in my life I'll never, ever forget.
Yeah.
And he's as invested in this program as I am, and he's, not here. They live in Mendota, where I'm originally from still.
Now, just out of curiosity, does a come to Jesus moment, does that mean more at a Catholic school?
I don't, honestly, my mom and him weren't talking. I know that at that point. Me and my mom were talking. Me and my dad weren't talking. And then mom got in the way. And when mom's mad at dad, everything.
Yeah.
So that lasted about 2 days. And then, I knew he always wanted what was best for me. But, you don't see that when you're a kid. Like, you don't.
No, it's tough.
And now I reflect, and I'm so thankful that they were hard on me, that they had rules, that they had expectations, because I'm going to hold my kids to that standard. And, yesterday my one daughter said, "You're not nice to me. You're not being nice. You're not letting me do what I want." And I said, "Well, one day you'll understand why." And it's just full circle. It's crazy. It's crazy that I'm at that point in my life. And my mom laughs. My mom, I was on the phone with my mom yesterday, and the one was like, "I don't know. I don't like what mom's making me wear." And my mom is just laughing. She's like, "Been there, done that. That was you 20 years ago." So
that's funny. It's talking about having phrases on a shirt. That's another one. Like, someday you'll thank me, that type of thing.
Yeah, 100%. If I had that shirt, the quotes on that shirt, I love that shirt. I wear it to practice all the time.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, so you go on and keep playing in high school. I always ask about somebody's story, and then I get off on these.
Oh no, me too.
But that's all right. We'll keep rolling.
So I played. So I went to Mendota High School. I was a 3-sport athlete all 4 years, which is not as common now. There weren't club sports back in the day. We played summer league. I played volleyball, basketball, and I was a track runner. I was probably better at volleyball than basketball, but I loved basketball. And I did track to stay in shape for everything. I did have a couple knee injuries in high school. I had to have surgery my junior year. I tore my knee pretty bad up in the regional championship. I tried to play in the sectional. My leg was dragging behind me, like I couldn't move. And we made it to the sectional championship my junior year. We lost to a team that had a player that I played against in 8th grade in a diocese tournament, and she went on to play at Iowa State and ISU. Her name was Molly McCracken. She made 8 threes against us. I'll never forget that. So
it's funny how you just remember stuff like that.
I remember stuff like that. So I remember that, and then I had another knee surgery my senior year. So I've had 4 knee surgeries at this point in my life. But in high school, I had 2. And they were pretty significant injuries, ones that, I was planning to play college basketball. And, I was going to go to NIU. I was going to try to walk on. They could pull your scholarship back in the day when I was in high school, back in the day. So NIU was close to Mendota. I wanted to be close to my parents. I was going to walk on. And then Eureka College found me somehow. And her name was Sandy Schuster. She was the coach there. She's a fantastic human being. And I visited, and I was like, I'm going to play. Like, I'm going to come. I'm going to start. I'm going to play. This feels like home. It's close to home. It's an hour and 20 minutes. So I went to Eureka, and honestly, it was one of the best experiences of my life. I got to start all 4 years. I played. I met some of my best friends. I met my husband after college, and it got me to Washington. So, everything happens for a reason. I played in college. I had 1 more knee surgery. I hurt my other knee in college. So yeah, I've had quite the knee issues.
I can't stress this enough. when I talk to parents and when I talk to the athlete, stop worrying about what level you want to go play in.
If you want to play, I think that's something I tell my
There's
kids.
that too. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's D1, D3, NAIA. If you want to play, you need to find a home. You will know. You will know when you
Yeah.
visit. You will know that coach is going to work well with you. And I didn't want to go sit. I'm not when I got hurt in a game in high school, I'm like banging my head on the wall behind me. Like I had to be on the floor. And those kids that can sit, like they are amazing. That was not me. That was not my personality. I just couldn't do that. And I mean, I went there. I loved it. It was a great experience. We were competitive. We got to travel a lot. Like I got to do a lot of great things. And it, jump started my career and relationships, connections with people. And I mean, it's how I got my job at Washington,
Yeah.
So I mean, everything good for me started at Eureka beyond things like that.
A good friend of mine, well, you probably know Dave Feeney.
I know Dave.
Yeah, Dave's a great guy. And he and I were talking about this one time, and we were talking about kids trying to figure out where to go. And he said, everybody loves to say, go somewhere you're wanted. And he said, I always tell them, go another step further and go somewhere you're needed. He said, if you're loved and needed, he was like, it'll be a really good situation. I'm like, that's a great,
I love that.
It's a great way to look at it. Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. And I just, because like you said, when you found your spot and it's like things fall into place.
I went there and there was never a doubt in my mind. I was still close enough to my parents. I could go home anytime I needed to. They came to every single one of my games in college except for one. And I got knocked out in that game, so that was fun. But I got punched.
Hey,
I was playing some good defense.
I'm telling you, girls basketball, man, it's women's basketball at that point. It's good stuff for that, especially. It gets pretty. It's rough.
I mean, I like that. Like I was all about defense. I was a point guard. I was a defender. That's what I love to do. So, but I mean, Eureka was fantastic to me. I mean, it really was. So
what's the decision? I mean, you're talking about your dad as a role model, and you had a really good coach there at Eureka. What is when in your career was it like, I think I'm going to go? I definitely want to coach.
So I had a really good high school coach as well. His name was Mike Kilmartin. He's a Hall of Fame coach in the state of Illinois. He's coached girls basketball, boys basketball. He was at every postseason game, hugging me on the sidelines and whatnot, asking me why I'm not playing more zone defense, but that's a whole nother story. But so my mom is a special education teacher. She's been a teacher for 32 years. And I always wanted to help others and work with kids. I think that's just my personality is that, I want to help others. And I went to college and my dad's like, Kim, you need to think about being a teacher. Like you would be a really good teacher. You love athletics. I think you would be a good coach. And I was like, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. The typical So I went to Eureka. I was like, I'm going to do physical therapy. I'm going to be an athletic trainer. And I love that, but it wasn't my passion. So I got about 3/4 of the way through college. I graduated and I worked at State Farm for a year sitting at a desk. And I was like, I can't do this.
I can't do it.
I got a job at Eureka College in the athletic department, which then allowed me to take classes. And I didn't need a lot of classes because when I decided I wanted to be a teacher, I started taking different classes. So for another 18 months, I took classes while I worked full time at Eureka. I had to quit to do my student teaching, which was the scariest thing ever because I had a house and I was quitting my job. I went and I did 8 weeks at DMAC high school, which was probably the best part of my student teaching.
It's just,
it was amazing.
I'm partial. It's a phenomenal place.
I worked with Mitch and it was awesome. Now I got my job at Washington before I was done at DMAC. Then I had another 8 weeks because I was K-12 PE health and I went to Creve Coeur Parkview Grade School, which was a whole different dynamic for me. It was just a different population. It was the coordinating teaching was different. Like it just wasn't at DMAC set the bar really high. But I credit Parkview then also prepared me for things that I wasn't used to seeing at DMAC or at Washington or wherever I landed. So that second part of student teaching was really valuable for me because it helped me, see outside the box, things I wasn't used to seeing where I was from or what I had experienced.
There's so it's funny. I see some similarities in your story and mine. I graduated from college, and I didn't go into education. I worked in a laboratory for 8 years, and then came back, got my degree, got my teaching certification. And I think that there's a lot to be gained. There's some problems with education, right?
Oh yeah.
There are, and I'm not saying there aren't, but like, if I really enjoyed education compared to, like you said, the I don't know, the bit I was in a lot of the bit, like the energy and the helping people and stuff that you get in education, it's unmatched. I absolutely love it.
There's no question I did the right thing at all. And my dad's like, I told you so. You would have been 2 years ahead of it.
No, I think you gain a ton of perspective.
Well, I think you do that too. Like, the grass is not always greener on the other side. And it's like, you have different experiences that make you appreciate what you're doing every day more. Like, I love coming to work most days. I mean, I'm a dean right now, so that can be a little questionable at times. I'm joking. But like, I love coming to work, seeing the high school kids, like, trying to help them. And this population of kids that I get to see as a dean is way different than the athletes that I deal with after school. But I don't think of it as a negative thing. I think of it as an opportunity to help these kids. And even if I help one kid and the rest of them are, we were talking this morning, they're not yelling at you. They're talking at you with a lot of passion. If I help one kid, then I did my job that week, so I think it's just perspective on a lot of things. It doesn't have to be negative. I love
that. I mean, I was an assistant principal for a while in charge of discipline and stuff like that. So but you still have to treat them. I don't know. We're getting off topic here, but
there's so many kids that are going through so much stuff that you have.
I know. And it's like, I can remember a teacher once saying, she's like, I'm sending my kids to your office, and they're like, but they actually like going and talking to you. And I'm like, yeah. I said, but your kids should enjoy going to your class too. Well, they should enjoy all this. Like, and I know it's nothing's perfect, but I'm like just,
no, I
try to meet them halfway. Like,
it's your perspective. I really think it's your perspective.
Yeah. So you when you switch and you get in, like, do you immediately start coaching?
So the year I graduated, so before I even went back to do my teaching stuff, I was coaching at Eureka High School. So when I was 21 years old, I got the call from a friend because I worked at the Chanticleer in Eureka.
I love it. I mean,
college and after that. And I loved that. That was social. Like, that was fun. It was fast paced. So I did that all through college. I did that after college. And I had a connection at Eureka High School. Well, they needed a JV coach. So I coached JV for a year. And then the next year, somebody's like, well, do you want to coach 7th grade and JV? So I was going to practice before school at 1. And then I would go do work or school. Then I would go to another practice after school or have a game at night. It was absolutely insane. If I was married at that point, I would have been divorced.
Yeah,
there's no way you can't do that. So I did that for a year, and then I stepped back and I was like, I can't. Like, I couldn't physically give and mentally give everything I needed to my career and continue to do that. But we had a successful year. I mean, we got second in state at 7th grade, and I loved that JV. I worked under Jerry Prina at Eureka High School. He's the girls coach there. And we text each other all the time during season, and we're each other's biggest fans. So those are all opportunities. So I started coaching as soon as I was out of college athletics.
Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient and persistent and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness, using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Toman, at Mettle Coaching. In it, I want to talk about. You said maybe I yell a little bit less now, and it's funny. It's interesting because I think that you should. I think that it's not about yelling less or more, but I think that you should become the coach that you are most comfortable with.
Yeah, and I think that's all about knowing your kids too. There are some kids that respond to that. Like I could pull some of my kids and I could ream them and they needed that. Like there are kids that need to be talked to sternly. Then there are kids that can't handle that. And I think that's all those relationships that you create with your kids, how to coach. And I've had to make adjustments, like early in my career, like my dad was a yeller. I thought that's what I needed to do. And this year we're down 19-0 to start the state tournament. Couldn't make a shot when we have a team that shoots 50+% every game. And I called the timeout and I was like, guys, we can do this. We have to believe. And I think it almost threw some of us off, like, what am I going to yell at you about? Like the ball's not going in the basket. They're making in threes. That's not going to help the situation. So I feel like that's me growing too as an adult. Like it's just, I've made adjustments and, there will be times where I remember this year I walked in the locker room and we won. And it looked like we lost. The kids looked like we lost their faces. And, that's where you have to kind of be like, yeah, we didn't play our best game, but, we still competed. We did this, like they were hard enough on themselves. They didn't need me doing that too.
Yeah, I love the idea of you should be coaching the kid, not the sport necessarily, but I think that's I don't know. I know that there's some coaches in old school that don't really see it that way. That you're like, I got to treat them all the way same. You got to do this. But I think when you've been an educator and especially when you've been a dean or like, you're like, okay, this, like, not everything works.
Doesn't work.
Kids are different. They just are. Why can't I do things differently?
Well, and they're different now than they were 5 years ago. Like,
well, there you go.
It's always an evolving thing. And I mean, like I got a daughter, both my daughters different. Like I can get on one of them and the other one cries. So like, those are just adjustments that I feel like have really helped me grow as a coach as well is, stepping back and realizing like, what is me chewing her out going to do? It's going to make her negative, that perspective negative. But again, there are kids that respond better to that. Like,
yep.
So that's how you gotta know your kids. I think that's really important.
I think I was at the game that you mentioned there, and
which one? When we were down, yeah, you were.
Yeah, and I think the biggest sign I saw that it wasn't going to be your night was at the end of the third. You guys finally made a shot, and it was after the buzz. The only time the only time the ball went in the hoop was and it was waved off, and it was like, this is not, like, it's just not.
No, and like that was not like they were banking in shots, and
it was crazy.
And their defense was just taking us out of our groove. But I mean, we don't shoot like that. Like it was the perfect storm. But I mean, to see the kids less than 24 hours recover from a heartbreaking loss and come back and compete and win third place, like our school hasn't done that for 48 years. That just shows like those kids are tough. I mean, they could have went in and we could have lost that big game by 40 that first game. I mean,
well, that's the thing is I think you won the third place game by fighting back in the semifinal game.
Yeah. And right? I honestly think that, like if we had 8 more minutes, what would the outcome have been? We were making runs, we were turning the ball over. And I think their defense was fantastic. It took us out of our groove. And I'll give credit to that team every day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You had a great game plan. You double teamed our point guard. Like they knew what they were doing. And, the ball didn't go in for us that night. But I think this also creates some hunger in our returners. Like they already have their revenge tour, as they're saying.
Oh, I'm
You're
sure.
in unfinished business and all that stuff. And I said, a lot of things have to align to get to the state tournament.
That's just,
Um,
that's just more pressure, right, Coach?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, heck yeah. I mean, heck yeah. You know what though? It's fine. Makes me work harder.
It is. It's great. I mean, uh,
I don't know.
you're right. I would rather have the pressure than not have it.
I don't know how I would respond if I didn't have it. Like, I honestly, like, I don't know if I could function. Like, it's just what we're used to, I guess. And that's fine.
Yeah, and something I heard you wrote it in your bio here, and something that you said to your daughter when you're talking about if you're not getting the pass, go get the rebound. And I hear that in your voice, and I hear what you're saying and what you wrote is that you're a big fan of something I'm a big fan of is make sure that you're only focusing on what you can control.
Yep. Control what you can control. I always tell her that.
It's this super easy idea that is very hard to follow sometimes.
Well, it is hard, and that's a mental part of the game a little bit too.
Yeah.
Like we always think, oh, I just got to make the shot. I got to make the shot. Well, and I can say this year, like we had numerous great players, but we had players that made us better when they are on the floor because they were doing the little things, and those little things don't always get all the credit, like those assists or those deflections and tips. But those are the things that make teams great, or those offensive rebounds, putbacks, like things like that. Like I think don't get enough credit. Like our most valuable player was not our best player this year. She's a great player. She was the player that made everyone else around her better. And that's what makes your team great, is when you have kids like that and that can buy into the team aspect of it. It's really easy, I think, in today's day and age to focus on points and scoring and, whatnot. And that's why I think I'm so defensive minded, because I see defense creates for your teammates. And that's what was ingrained in my head. So I just feel like that's something that our team really bought into this year, was team, and not, me or I or my friend, or it was everybody. We had 2 seniors on our team that, didn't get much playing time. You would have never known it, ever.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, there's not a lot of kids that are like that. And
Yeah.
they left their legacy on our program because of that. Like, that is amazing to have kids that will support their teammates, knowing that their name may not be called, but they work so hard at practice to make their teammates better. And that's that was, we find.
Oh, it's a credit. I mean, you got to have kids like that, and it's tough to get them anymore.
It is tough to get them. I think that we've been bought in for the last 2 years. We knew we had a really special group coming. The last 2 years, we've really pushed team culture. And I mean, we have 4 feeder districts coming in, which makes it a challenge, because these kids have been competing against each other their entire lives. And now you want them to be best friends and play together. So it creates some obstacles, but they're little roadblocks, but we just jump over them.
So I'm gonna challenge you now, because we got into coach speak there, and I want to talk about the specifics. When you talk about we got them to buy in, and it's all about the culture, and that is, again, it's us like that. Oh, we got them to buy in, and that sounds fantastic, right?
Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do intentional to build culture?
So we do a lot of stuff that does not even have to do with basketball. Like they're doing like Easter egg hunting, like they're helping the park district set up stuff like that. We do a buddy system every week where they're paired with a different buddy, and that buddy is their partner for all of their drills and like stuff that they have to do with a partner at practice. We do a ton of touches intentionally. So I think we are lacking leadership. And I don't know if that's a COVID thing, or if like leadership is lonely, is what I say a lot, because you don't always say what is popular. You say what's right. And I think we have kids that want to be leaders, but they may not know. And I think that's COVID. Like, I'm being honest, like a lot was taken away from these kids. So we do a lot of like, this is what leadership looks like. This is how you come together. Like if you watch college basketball, they come together after every play. So at practice, we would literally like simulate that. Like anytime anybody touched a free throw or shot a free throw, everybody went and touched them. And then if they made it or miss it, they went and they touched them again. And then after we ran, if they missed it, they went and touched it again. So we were just very intentional with things like that. But I do think the team building stuff outside, like we go to college games together, we go to grade school games together, we help at youth programs together. And just like we had some tough conversations in the locker room, about like, hey, like we know you've been competing against each other your entire lives. Now you're not competing against each other, you're competing for each other, and there are plenty of opportunities for our kids to play at the next level. There is a home for everybody. So right now your home is Washington, make the most of it and compete for these kids. And, it took a lot of extra, like there is so much more than X's and O's. There is so much more than
that. When I said, what do you do intentionally? And you have answers on what you can do intentionally, then I can look at you and go, well, I'm not surprised that you're having success, because I think that, not throwing shade on anybody, but we get too many coaches, and I think they're young coaches coming in and saying, I just can't get them to buy in. I can't get them to buy in. I can't get this culture. I'm like, well, what are you doing? Like, are you just hoping that it will happen on accident? Because that's not going to happen.
No,
it just doesn't.
You
have to do something. You have. It takes as much or more work than the X's and O's.
It's years. It's years. Of work. And it's opportunities. It's other programs buying into you, like us playing in the TOC this year. I mean, that's a dream come true for girls basketball in the nation. Like, I mean, that's huge for us. And like that's the boys program buying into the success of us and the support of us. And I think that's huge as well. Our community this year, the support, the Sea of Orange at Redbird Arena, that's something I'll never forget. But it's a culture that we have worked really hard to build. And it didn't happen overnight. It's taken all 9 of my years in this position to build this culture and to get that buy-in that these are expectations of our program. Like we don't win a regional, like that's expected. That's what we do. So that's just, we're trying to create that, excellence, that excellence in our program.
Yeah. And I think the other thing I noticed that I think that one of the reasons, if I'm looking at trying to act like I know everything here, is when we're talking about COVID and trying to understand about the leadership, is I think that kids have the misconception that if they aren't the best player or aren't in some sort of I think what I'm trying to say is I think that every kid can be a leader. You can have a team full of leaders, and I don't think kids understand that.
Everyone doesn't have to be a vocal leader. Everyone doesn't have to be the kid that can score all those points leader, but you need different types of leaders. You need a leader that you can look at that can put the ball on their hip and conduct. You need a leader that silently leads by bringing everyone together. You need people on the bench that are leaders that are, that bench energy, I think is huge, that excitement for their teammates. So I think all those different types of leadership are so important to the success of programs. And I think that gets lost, meaning when I say I need you to be a leader, that doesn't mean you have to talk. You don't have to be rah-rah. You don't have to scream and jump up and down. But I need you to do this. And I think that's all about communication. We have these conversations. We have uncomfortable conversations with kids saying, this is what I need for you. Even if this is what the team needs. And we've had my kids have responded to it. And I think that's a huge credit to our success this year.
I think the question is, when we're talking to young athletes, is we need to reframe the question and not ask them, are you being a leader? I think that needs to be an expectation. But the question is, what are you leading? Right? Because you said everybody can lead. And it could be, you could have a kid is leading by picking up cups that people have dropped and being servant leadership. And there's so many different ways that a kid can be a leader that's going to influence others.
People see that. They always see that. And, those kids that are cheering, their teammates on when, they don't get in a game and they finally get in a game and they hit a big 3, those are the moments of the season that resonate with me. Those are leaders that are just as excited for everybody on the team. And I'm telling you, those seniors we had this year, those are leaders, and they did so many different aspects of leadership that taught these younger kids that are juniors and sophomores like this is how we do things. And I'm so thankful that I had the opportunity to have them for 4 years.
Yeah. How do you see this leadership and this buy-in and this culture that you're creating intentionally? How do you see that affect the mentality of your players, of the mental toughness of your players? And because it's when you have a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
the voices can start to go the other way. How do you
So,
see that affect them?
oh, 100%. I think that, you know, we have to, as coaches, just continue to be their biggest supporters. And when we are able to identify that they're struggling, or, we need to know what do we do? How do we coach them? Do I need to take her out and have a conversation with her and put her right back in? Do I need to let her play through it? Do I need to tell her teammate, hey, you need to go, do this? So I think it's knowing your kids, but the positive part of it. Like I said, like even a kid that needs to be coached tough, they're probably getting that at home.
Yeah.
So, and we have good cop, bad cop in our coaching staff too. Like there are certain coaches that'll say, hey, you need to go talk to her, or I'm going to talk to this one. Like those connections, just that culture has been built. And I think it's just us knowing our athletes. And we're at a point right now where we've had these kids, are successful kids for the last 4 years, 3 years, 2 years. Some of these juniors started as freshmen. So we feel like that culture is there, but it's even extending beyond that with our camps and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids are bought into those youth programs, helping those. Our coaches work with those coaches. Our grade schools are buying in as well. So it's become like a community, event. And I feel like, that culture, that success, I think our success this year just makes it even more exciting for the kids coming up. And they want to be a part of it.
Whenever your
Little
number
kids,
one team in the state is going to some of their youth programs I'm summer on the Saturdays or something it's like it might as well be WNBA players there. It's crazy.
And I don't think our kids even realize how
they don't get it. They don't, yeah.
They're role models for these kids. I mean,
Yeah.
my kids idolize these girls. Like they idolize these girls, and they have such a positive effect on them. And they're great kids. Like, I mean, our team GPA is like ridiculous. It's in the fours weighted. Like it's ridiculous. They're just amazing kids.
Yeah. I love hearing you talk about when you're talking about coaching the team, coaching the players. I hear the word be the best supporters, be their biggest supporters, about talking to them positively. And I love that you're leaning into that, knowing that, of course, there has to be criticism there. That's what coaching is. But making sure that it's done positively is it's what I'm all about, because I think it can be done and it should be done.
Well, and I always try to follow constructive criticism, or if somebody may call it negative, with a positive. Like, hey, you didn't get back on defense. I need you to go in and do this. Or, hey, you did a great job to play before getting this rebound. But if you leave it negative, those negative thoughts can resonate in their head. If you find a way to spin it positive at the end of the conversation, that's what they hear. And that is what they need mentally to go back in and help their teammates. And, the ball's not going to go in the basket every day. So what else are you going to contribute? What else are you going to do for your team? So we're really buying into that. And my coaching staff is just, they're top notch. They're amazing. So I'm just very thankful for them as well.
No, it's fantastic. I love it. So we're running short on time, Coach. What did I not ask that I should have?
Oh, I don't even.
I mean, I have other things on my list. I'm like, I didn't even talk about that. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about being a 5-and club, and I know that some of your girls were getting in and shooting it. Like, I don't know if that's connected or not, but that was fantastic.
So our kids do. They get up at 5 a.m. and they shoot. They work out. They lift. They run. Like in the fall, we do 5:30 a.m. track workouts, and we'll have 18 to 20 kids there that aren't in a sport. I mean, they're bought in. They want to do it. And actually, my JV coach runs that and my freshman coach, because I have 2 little kids I got to take to school. They don't have that. And I think that's just, if you get it done in the morning, it sets the tone for the day. Like I work out at 5 o'clock every morning. That's
what I'm saying. But from what I saw, like you're getting up and working out at
Oh
that
yeah.
time. So
Yeah,
it's
every
you
day at
know
5 a.m. That's my job. That's what I have to do. It makes my mind be in a good spot. Like my husband will be like, "You didn't work out today. You need to go for a run." Your mind, like he could just tell.
it's
Like it's
yeah.
something that keeps me in a good headspace. And I think it's just like our kids are they want to do it too. And I mean, it's amazing. And it shows what that extra
It's
hard
just
work
I mean,
does. I mean,
I think that hard work is contagious, especially whenever you start to see the dividends from it.
uh-huh,
Like it just
100%. And all
yeah.
those little kids have seen that that's what these girls are doing, and they are all able
Oh,
to do it as well.
which is fantastic. That's just,
Mhm.
I mean, that's you've built this culture there that's fantastic. You're getting the dividends, and there's still going to be ups and downs, but
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
you've just got a great culture. People are bought in, and it's great to see. So,
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
parents, is your athlete ready for the upcoming sports season? They might have the strength, the speed, and the skills, but without confidence, they can still struggle when the game is online. Skill and strength are great, they're necessary, but they're not used to their full potential without the right mentality. Confidence is key. It's the key to unlocking that full potential. And at Mettle Coaching, I offer personalized sessions designed to build the confidence your athlete needs for a successful season. My proven techniques empower them to perform under pressure, both on the field and in life. Don't let a lack of confidence hold them back. Book a free session today and discover the power of confidence. Visit the website, get started on the journey to a more confident, successful athlete with Mettle Coaching. A lot of good stuff in that episode with Kim Barth. I think there's a few things that I'm really appreciated about what she's doing, and I can see that. I'm glad that she mentioned that she's a dean now. I noticed that talking about how she sees kids differently and doesn't operate the same around every kid. And I think that I know personally that that's something that I learned as I became a dean and an assistant principal and did more discipline and reaching with different kids and stuff. You start to realize that you just don't operate. You can't treat every kid the same because not every kid is the same. And I think the fact that she's getting to know her kids and understanding them is a lot of growth for a coach to do that. And she's been at it for a while now, but she talks about how she does things differently now. And which that means she's getting to know herself a little bit better and getting to know her kids a little bit better. And I think that knowledge and understanding each other and not thinking that you have to treat every kid exactly the same and always do the same thing with every kid and try to cookie cutter them, because it doesn't work well. And getting to know your kids and trying to the best way to coach them and the best way to motivate them and the best way to push them and the best way to make them grow is it's a very useful tool. I will say that it's harder. It's so much harder to get to know the kids and to have to understand them better and try different things, because when you say that you're going to try different things with kids, you means there's a lot of trial and error. It's not everything's going to go well. It is easier. Well, theoretically, it sounds easier to just say everything the same with every kid, do always the same. I mean, you can say that that's easier, but it ends up making everything so much more difficult. It's harder, and I think that she's learning that. It's a really cool thing to see the way she's operating her kids. And when you watch their coach, I went and watched a couple games, and I have a friend, or his daughter plays on the team, and he's very impressed with the way the coach leads them, works with them, and tries to push them. And I think that's great. But I think that there's also, I mean, that doesn't mean you do everything different, but there are still non-negotiables and things that you're trying to work on with every kid. And she talks about that, how we're trying to build culture through every kid. And what I really enjoyed is when she talked about intentional touches and her noticing that they didn't have the leadership that they wanted. So they went out to build it, and they built it just by saying, okay, we need to like give fives earlier or more often, and just these intentional touches and showing leadership intentionally. And I think that's, I work with a lot of schools, working on leadership, working with teams, working with coaches. And I think that across the board, the adults in the room say that, kids aren't really showing the leadership that they want, that it's a problem for whatever reason. We could sit here and talk about all day about what the problem is, what causes it, what's making it worse, things like that. But there's two camps of adults now, that the ones that we all notice that the leadership in our kids isn't quite what we wanted, but then there's ones that just lament about it and complain about it and talk about how it's social media and it's this and this and this and this, and just complain about it. And then there's others that do things intentionally to get better at it. So it's no different than if you were watching your basketball team and you're like, we really struggle at man-to-man defense, and we don't hedge the ball screen right, or we don't handle the ball screens well. Well, you would go to practice and you would work on it. Well, if you notice that your leadership isn't what it's supposed to be, then go do something about it. It does not do any good to complain about it. And the way that she's, they work with a buddy, they do these intentional touches, they do these things and build culture. And they're not even just building the culture in the team that she has now, but the culture around the community of the girls that are going to come up to the team. And doing that on purpose is just, it's not surprising to me when I have conversations like this. It's not surprising to me that she has a team that won 36 games this year. I think these things go together. Whenever you see a coach that's doing these sort of things, and then you have a good team, then how often you peel behind the curtain and they're doing these things. She's working with her kids. She's understanding they're humans, trying to work on them differently, but trying to build leadership in all of them. It's not an accident, but it doesn't happen overnight either, but it's not an accident. It takes time to build. And I think I love listening to her talk about that and just seeing the results of that. And I think that they've still got some good years ahead of them. I don't know that you're going to break the 36 wins, but they've got some good years ahead of them, and it's an exciting time because they've got most of their players back. It's going to be interesting to watch how they handle the pressure coming up next year. So it's really fun to watch Kim Barth and her girls team there at Washington. And man, it's just something I enjoy so much. If you're listening to this and you're like, I don't know how to get started, how do I start building this leadership or building this team culture? And I really struggle to do that. That's one of the things that I do. I'm really busy right now with June, working with different basketball teams, getting that culture going, helping the coaches build that. Now, I don't like I can't go do it in one session, but I give the ideas. We get the ball rolling, because that's the thing about culture and things like that. It's a momentum thing. If you can get that momentum rolling, it can, if you build the culture, it'll start do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. But getting it started is tough. It's hard. So if that's something you're interested in as a coach or even as a parent, you can send it on to a coach. I love this team coaching stuff that I do. It's really good stuff. Love doing that. And it's just so much fun to be able to do that, because it's so useful to build that culture and start working on it. So that's something I love to do. You can always reach out to me and I'd love to, but so hang around the rest of the month. I got some more good episodes, some good coaches coming up the rest of the month for June, a big basketball month. So thanks for joining me. As always, thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, all those things. Podcast is growing. I love it. And I couldn't do it without people like you. So thank you so much. So this is it. This has been the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Tillman, and always remember to forge your mettle. Thanks for listening to the Mental Mettle Podcast. Don't forget to tune in every week for more insights and strategies to help you forge mental toughness and resilience. This podcast is brought to you by Mental Mettle Coaching, where we are driven by a passion for sharing knowledge and experience that empowers others to play, live, and grow with confidence. Our mission is to instill a resilient and spirited mindset in our clients, enabling them to confidently face adversity and actively seek new challenges for personal growth. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're an athlete, educator, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential and thrive in every area of life. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, and always remember to forge your mettle.